Finally, justice is actually served. I mean, it's way less than what it should have been, but it's still better than what these fuckers usually get. Drunk student who falsely accused taxi driver of rape sentenced to prison. Notice that word, sentenced to prison. It's not like all the other times where they just faced charges, they faced jail time. Because 99.99999% of the time when it's a false accuser, the judge and or jury just they either declare him innocent or they just give him a slap on the wrist. Like, just 2 hours of community service, that's good enough. So even though they're usually facing years of jail time, they don't actually get any jail time at all. But this one was sentenced, meaning she actually got the verdict handed down. He did not think much of it at the time because such instances with people who are intoxicated are not unusual. Yeah, just imagine being a taxi or Uber or Lyft driver and you're just driving under the assumption that you're going to be falsely accused by some drunk bitch. Now, this is why it's highly recommended you have a damn camera in your car, because video evidence is about the only thing you can do to prove your innocence. When you're falsely accused, there's only two ways out of it, because you're guilty until proven innocent. And if you can't prove your innocence, then, well, they're just going to lock you up and throw away the key. It's the exact opposite of the system we should have, but that's how this parallel system works. There's only two ways you can defend yourself. The first way is if you have proof you were never even anywhere near this woman at the time she claimed that you did the things you did. We've had that happen before. Yeah, we've had it happen that some woman falsely accused a guy of sexual assault, and the guy came back with receipts proving he was out of the country during that whole week. That's the kind of level of evidence you have to have. And the other way is video evidence. We're actually getting to the point now with these false accusations that I recommend, if you can afford it, every guy should get a body cam. They sell the same body cams that police have. They sell them to the public as well. It's not like some top secret police technology. You're just also going to have to buy a shitload of hard drives to store all these recordings, because guess what? They also removed the statute of limitations on sexual assault claims as well. So you can never delete those recordings either. You have to record your entire life and store it forever, because you never know. I mean, right now, let's say you're in the same position I was in a few years back. You're just a nobody working at Burger King. Who the hell's going to accuse me of shit? I don't have to worry about this. But then let's say 30 years later, you become some politician, some big name celebrity of some kind. And then some random person you only saw one time 30 years ago comes out and says, he raped me 30 years ago at that Burger King. And with the statute of limitations gone, they will just assume you're guilty until you can prove yourself innocent. So you better have those recordings saved up. If not just to defend yourself, there's also owning the false accuser. Just imagine the look on her and her lawyer's face when you actually pull out the video from 30 years ago to prove you didn't do anything, and then you file a countersuit. Oh my God, that would be one of the best cases ever. But back to the story. A 22-year-old student in Airstrip 1 was recently jailed for falsely accusing a taxi driver of raping her. Sophie Poynton, a criminology student at Leeds Beckett University. Yeah, I covered this woman. This was like a year ago. But I actually remember covering this woman. I brought it up that she was facing jail time. She was facing those charges. So this is basically a follow-up to that. She got her sentence. Her verdict is in. She's going to be spending I think it was a year and a half, but we're going to get to that point. And once again, it's not, in my opinion, the punishment for a false accusation should be what the falsely accused would have received had they been found guilty. So just like a year and a half is still way too little for what she did, but it's progress. At least we're making steps in the right direction. So she told police officers she had been sexually assaulted and molested in the back of a cab she had been riding in, reports the Telegraph. Poynton phoned police early on April 22nd of this year to claim that her cab driver had molested her. She then accompanied police to a station where she signed a statement affirming her claim. Oh, okay, so it was like half a year ago. The driver she accused, a father of 4, was then arrested and held for 6 hours. Yeah, oh, big deal. He was held for 6 hours, right? It's not like he was found guilty. Nothing happened to him. The accusation prevented him from working for 4 months. See, that's the big thing. The people who defend false accusers, the bullshit arguments they always use is like, well, what's the harm? He was found innocent, right? And I have to keep bringing up that story of that guy in Australia where he pulled over and helped a woman fix her fucking car, and she repaid him by falsely accusing him of rape. And the only reason he was declared innocent was because luckily the gas station they were at had cameras and they kept the footage. If it wasn't for the video evidence, this dude would probably still be sitting in jail right now. But there was video evidence to prove he didn't do it. And so, all right, so no, we don't need to punish the false accuser. I mean, nothing happened. The guy was found innocent. Nothing but he lost his job. His entire name and reputation is smeared for life because you know the articles that are accusing him of that are going to be the first things that pop up in the search engine. Nothing about how he was found innocent, though. His wife divorced him and took the kids. He lost everything. Oh, but no, nothing. There's no permanent damage, right? I mean, he was declared innocent. No, these false accusers need to face the exact same penalty that those they falsely accused would have faced had they been found guilty. He stated that friends stopped speaking to me and letting me into their homes. People in my community do not even want to be seen with me. I actually consider this a positive side effect, because if I was falsely accused of something and my friends and family just automatically assumed my guilt and cut ties with me, I'd be like, well, okay, fuck these people then. Clearly they weren't real friends and family anyway. I'm glad to have these backstabbing pieces of shit out of my life. Now, it would be different like if I was found guilty and then they cut ties with me. Even if I was like found innocent like 10 years later in some innocence project or whatnot, I could still forgive them for cutting ties with me if it was after I was found guilty. But if it was just the accusation and that alone was enough for them to cut ties with me, fuck those people. I want nothing to do with them. If I'm ever in this position where I get falsely accused and my friends and family just throw me under the bus and eventually I'm found innocent, and if they ever try to get back into my life, I'm showing them the fucking door. The hell no. I know exactly where you stand. I don't want to have anything to do with you ever again. This bridge is burned forever. Get the fuck out of my face. This is one positive side effect of this. He knows who his real friends and family are. The girl who accused me is the same age as my own daughter. I cannot comprehend why she made this allegation. Because she's an evil bitch. She's broken. In court, the driver stated that Poynton entered his cab extremely drunk and holding a kebab. When he reached the area he was to drop her off, Poynton threw a 10-pound note at him that he refused to accept as it was covered in oil from the kebab. So she was just butthurt. The driver said Poynton then began to run around his car, opening the doors and yelling. The prosecutor representing the driver in this false accusation said he did not think much of it at the time because such incidents with people who are intoxicated are not unusual. A GPS tracker on the cab, as well as a phone call that the driver made with a supervisor directly after his encounter, backed up his story. Yeah, so in his case, he didn't have video evidence, but no, this was akin to the first example I said that you need to get out of a false accusation. And that is if you have the receipts that prove that you couldn't have been there at the time they said you did the deed. That's how he got out of it. But definitely have a camera just in case. You can't rely on coincidence. Judge Christopher Batty said to Poynton, your malicious complaint has done a huge disservice to those seeking justice through the police and courts. Yes! Because they keep trying to say, oh, but false accusations are rare. And meanwhile, almost every single high-profile Pound Me Too case in the media has been proven to be a false accusation. And yet these false accusers actually damage the feminist agenda. And yet the feminists refuse to crack down on them. They keep defending them. They keep doing it. Go ahead. So here it is. Poynton has now sentenced to 16 months in jail for perverting the course of justice. So a year and a third in jail. Still way too little. She should have gotten the maximum penalty the guy would have received had he been found guilty. But this is still finally a step in the right direction. In the majority of cases, even if the woman was facing jail time, the judge would have just slapped her on the wrist and said, 20 hours of community service is good enough. And then you'll be on a registry for like 2 years. And on top of that, that's going to be a suspended sentence too. So you're not going to have to serve any time as long as you don't get into any more trouble. But this is still way better than usual. While her crime was horrendous, it is important to note that false reports of rape are rare, with most estimates placing the prevalence between 2 to 10% of reports worldwide. Yep, they had to throw that in at the end. Like, yeah, even though all of these reports you read about in the media end up being false, that's totally not indicative of the actual population. I mean, the actual, it's like 2 to 10, even 10. Goddamn, even if it was 10%, that is way too damn high. This should be 0%. And you know how you drop it to 0? By actually punishing the false accuser. And the bullshit excuses they use to stop that. Oh, but that would prevent real victims from speaking out. Bullshit. You just need to implement it correctly. So what I was saying before, there's a huge difference between a crime or an accusation that can be proven to be false and one that can't be proven true. So for example, if a woman said, this guy raped me, and they do the investigation and they find out that they did have sex, but they couldn't prove one way or another, there wasn't any evidence that showed that it was a rape, she wouldn't be punished for that. But on the flip side, same scenario, she says, oh, he raped me, and he comes back and says, I wasn't even in the country during that time. That is a provable false bullshit accusation that should be severely punished. Yeah, we should not be excusing this shit. Oh man, I am so excited to tell you guys right now that finally, after about a year of build-up and shilling, we have launched Blade Devil on Indiegogo, and so far it is doing so well thanks to awesome people like you. If you haven't backed it yet, then please check the links in the description and check out Blade Devil on Indiegogo. You will not be disappointed. Looking forward to seeing you there.